March 4, 2024, News Report 1. Indian security agencies intercepted a cargo ship en route from China to Pakistan on January 23. It was reported that the ship was carrying computer numerical control (CNC) machines manufactured in Italy, which could be used for Pakistan's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. The commercial ship was flying the flag of Malta. An investigation by Indian security agencies revealed that these goods were shipped from China by the Taiyuan Mining Import and Export Corporation to the Cosmos Engineering Company in Pakistan, the latter being a defense supplier for Pakistan. India stated that this seizure was aimed at preventing potential nuclear proliferation between Pakistan and China. In addition, India is set to inaugurate a naval base on Minicoy Island in the Maldives on March 6, which is the closest base to the Maldives, located 130 kilometers north of the Maldives. The Indian Navy issued a statement on March 2, expressing suspicion that China is expanding its deployment in the Maldives, and stated that the new base will expand India's surveillance range in the region. After becoming president of the Maldives, Moise visited China on January 9 this year. It has been reported that Moise has requested India to withdraw its 89 military personnel stationed in the Maldives, with the first batch of personnel set to leave before March 10, and the remaining personnel to be withdrawn within 2 months. News Report 2. According to Reuters, Philippine Coast Guard ships patrolled the northern and eastern waters of the Philippines on March 4 to monitor the activities of Chinese research vessels near Binhai Nongchi. Binhai Nongchi is located 250 kilometers east of Luzon Island and is a submarine extinct volcano ridge, rich in marine and mineral resources. In 2012, the United Nations declared Binhai Nongchi as part of the Philippines continental shelf, giving the Philippines sovereignty, which China has never claimed over Binhai Nongchi. Philippine Senator Torrentino stated on March 2 that Chinese research vessels were lingering in the Binhai Nongchi area and conducting research. Philippine Ambassador to the United States Romualdez stated on March 3 that the Philippines faces aggression from China in the South China Sea, which is the real flashpoint. He also pointed out that China's reduction in imports of Philippine products constitutes economic coercion against the Philippines. In response, the United States has promised to invest 1.7 trillion pesos in the Philippines, approximately $300 million. News Report 3. Bloomberg reported that the U.S. government announced on March 3 a financing bill that prohibits the sale of U.S. strategic oil reserves to China. The U.S. House of Representatives and the Senate will vote on the bill by March 8. Both parties in the U.S. Congress hope to take a tough stance on China, so the likelihood of this bill passing is very high. After the outbreak of the Ukraine war in 2022, in order to curb the rise in oil prices, the U.S. government released 180 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve in mid-2022. Subsidiaries of China National Petroleum Corporation, United Petrochemicals, and America Corporation purchased 1 million barrels of this. The sale of strategic oil reserves to China has sparked widespread discussion among both parties in Congress. Critics argue that selling strategic oil reserves reduces America's energy security, while some supporters believe that the sale has little impact on America's energy security. The core issue that many members of Congress oppose selling strategic oil reserves to China is decoupling, which means they do not want economic dealings with China. This is not just a matter of losing a buyer, but a matter of not wanting economic dealings with China. News Report 4. The Malaysian Ministry of Transport stated on March 3 that Malaysia is pushing to restart the search for MH370 flight. MH370 has been missing for 10 years. On March 8, 2014, MH370 flight departed from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, to Beijing, China, and disappeared from radar on the way. Despite the largest search in aviation history conducted by countries around the world, the plane remains missing. MH370 was carrying 239 people, 2/3 of whom were Chinese. The Malaysian Ministry of Transport stated that investigators have not ruled out the possibility of the plane intentionally deviating from its course, and wreckage of MH370 has been found washed up on the coasts of Africa and Indian Ocean islands. U.S. seabed search company Ocean Infinity has begun developing a new search plan. Only foreign countries have not given up on searching for Chinese people, something the Chinese government has never considered. News Report 5. Reuters reported that Israeli interim cabinet minister Gantz will meet with U.S. Vice President Harris, Secretary of State Blinken, National Security Advisor Sullivan, and lawmakers from both parties in the U.S. on March 4. Gantz will discuss temporary ceasefires and increased humanitarian aid in the Gaza Strip with senior U.S. officials. Gantz is the leader of the Israeli National Unity Party and has previously served as Israel's defense minister. Recent polls show that the Israeli public believes Gantz is a suitable candidate for the next prime minister. In addition, according to Reuters, the resumption of temporary ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas, scheduled for March 3 in Israel, did not take place as planned. The reason is that Hamas refused to provide a complete list of surviving hostages. Hamas demanded to know which people were still alive, but Israeli negotiators did not show up. On the other hand, the U.S. military airdropped 35,000 food parcels to the Gaza Strip on March 2, a humanitarian aid operation that the U.S. will continue. Not only the U.S., but also Jordan, Egypt, and France have airdropped aid to the Gaza Strip. News Report 6. Yemen's government mentioned the U.S. airdrop of food in an article. The U.S. airdrop of food hit the British freighter Rubimarl and sank near March 1. This is the first international freighter sunk since the Houthi armed forces began attacking merchant ships at sea in November last year. On February 18, the Houthi armed forces fired 2 missiles at the Rubimarl cargo ship in the Aden Gulf, causing the ship to be hit and the crew to abandon ship and evacuate to a safe place. The cargo ship departed from the UAE and was headed to Bulgaria, carrying more than 40,000 tons of fertilizer. Fuel leaked from the ship into the sea, forming a 30-kilometer-long floating band. In addition, Pentagon spokesman Raid said on February 29 that more than 4,600 cargo ships had crossed the Red Sea in the past 3 months, with 423 cargo ships crossing the Red Sea under the protection of the United States and its allies. So far, there has been no sign of any protection action by Chinese warships. News Report 7. According to the Associated Press, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled on March 4 that former President Trump has the right to participate in the Colorado Republican presidential primary. The ruling overturned a decision by a Colorado court at the end of last year and resolved the controversy over whether Trump was eligible to participate in the Republican primary in Colorado. The Colorado court ruled that Trump's participation in the January 2021 Capitol attack constituted treason and, under the 11th Amendment to the Constitution, he was not eligible to participate in the Colorado presidential election. The 9 Supreme Court justices unanimously agreed that Trump's right to run should be enforced by Congress under the 14th Amendment, not by the states. In addition, the Republican presidential primary was held in Washington, D.C., on March 3, with Haley winning 62.9% of the vote and Trump only 33.2%. This is Haley's first victory in the Republican presidential primary. Before the primary in Washington, D.C., the Republican Party held caucuses in Missouri, Michigan, and Idaho, all of which Trump won. As of now, Trump has received 244 delegate votes, while Haley has only received 43. They need a total of 1,215 delegate votes to secure the Republican presidential nomination. March 5 is Super Tuesday in the U.S. presidential primary, with 16 states holding primaries, which will decide the allocation of 854 delegate votes. If all goes as expected, Trump will win the Republican primary and Biden will win the Democratic primary, setting up a rematch between Trump and Biden. News Report 8. According to Bloomberg, Hong Kong law firms are reducing their office space in Hong Kong's office buildings due to shrinking business. Some long-standing law firms have recently reduced the office space in their office buildings, including reducing an entire floor of office space in the Landmark building. Ehlers law firm also reduced its office space in the Exchange Square by 500 square meters. Cheery and Minter law firms are also reducing the rental space of their offices. A spokesman for Ehlers law firm said that financial and market conditions are the reasons for reducing the rental of office space, and the popularity of flexible work has also reduced the demand for offices. These phenomena show that Hong Kong's economy is sluggish. Last year, Hong Kong's IPO market was sluggish, and signs that Hong Kong is becoming an international financial ruin are evident in various details. Hong Kong's legal, investment banking, and private equity fund industries have all been impacted by this trend. News Report 9. The Hong Kong government's real estate market regulation measures went into effect on the first weekend, and crowds began to queue up at the sales offices of some projects. On February 28, Financial Secretary Chen Maobua announced the cancellation of 3 taxes, including the additional stamp duty, buyer's stamp duty, and new residential stamp duty, which are called oyster tactics and spicy tactics by the Hong Kong people, aimed at curbing speculation in real estate. At the same time, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority also cancelled the stress test for buyers, no longer requiring consideration of whether buyers can afford a mortgage after interest rates rise, giving some buyers who currently qualify but hesitate due to loan burdens more opportunities to enter the market. Henderson Land Development's Chung Sha Wan project has 138 residential units, with the cheapest selling price of 3.16 million Hong Kong dollars, and sales began at 10 a.m. on March 4. It was reported that people were already queuing up before the sales began, a rare sight in recent years. The project sold out in 4 hours, and Henderson Land Development announced on the same day that it would resell 208 units on March 7. According to statistics, 80% of buyers are between the ages of 31 and 45, most of whom are renters. In addition, buyers and investors from outside Hong Kong are also increasing. The implementation of Hong Kong's property market regulation policies has sold more than 200 new properties in 4 days, exceeding the 190 sold from February 1 to 27, beginning to attract some buyers to the market. Will they regret it? It is not yet clear. News Report 10. The Standing Committee of the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, CPPCC, closed on March 2. The meeting passed a decision to dismiss Zhang Xiaoming, the Deputy Secretary General of the CPPCC. CCTV still refers to Zhang Xiaoming as comrade, indicating that he is still a member of the Communist Party of China. Zhang Xiaoming originally served as the director of the liaison office and worked in the Hong Kong and Macau affairs system for 36 years. He became the director of the liaison office in 2012 and the director of the Hong Kong and Macau affairs office in 2017. However, in 2020, he was removed from office and demoted to deputy director and executive deputy director. Zhang Xiaoming was a key figure in Hong Kong and Macau affairs, participating in the 2014 Umbrella Movement and the 2019 anti-extradition movement. He represented Xi Jinping's hardline stance on Hong Kong policy. In June 2022, he was transferred to Deputy Secretary General of the CPPCC, essentially completely disengaging from Hong Kong and Macau affairs. Some outside observers believe that he may be appointed elsewhere, but his specific whereabouts are currently unknown. News Report 11. Taiwan's Taoyuan Airport closed its southern runway for annual maintenance starting on March 3, leaving only one runway in operation. Over the 2 days of March 3 and 4, a total of 47% of flights were delayed, with many flights delayed by more than 2 hours. With only one runway in operation at Taoyuan Airport, a maximum of 30 aircraft can take off and land per hour. Flight tracking websites show that a large number of flights are circling in the airspace north of Taiwan, waiting to land, with some aircraft diverting to Kaohsiung or Taipei Songshan Airport for refueling due to insufficient fuel. Many flights have to wait on the runway for at least an hour before taking off. Minister of Transportation Wang Guokai met with Taoyuan Airport on March 4 and demanded that the runway work be completed by the early hours of March 5 to clear the flights. Wang Guokai criticized the incident as the failure of Taoyuan Airport to consider traffic volume and the failure of airlines to prepare for excessive traffic volume. He called for airlines to adjust flights from the source and for air traffic control departments to deal with a large number of flight delays promptly. Today News Network reported that the maintenance was a long-planned project, but Taoyuan Airport did not notify airlines until February 21. Airlines had long been prepared to reduce the number of maintenance flights annually. These factors were all known beforehand. The large-scale delays at Taoyuan Airport this time are indeed due to human error and do not meet the standards of a modern airport. Some responsible parties may be disciplined. News Report 12. Reporters from the Dutch National Broadcasting Corporation recently interviewed clients of Sichuan Trust in Chengdu. These clients demanded the return of their investments and held a protest. However, the police used violent means to deal with these reporters. Sichuan Trust collapsed in June 2020, and on December 26, 2023, it announced that investors' principal would be repaid at a discount of between 60% and 80%. Sichuan Trust's clients were not satisfied with this and have been protesting. The government, however, has ignored them because Sichuan Trust is a state-owned enterprise. When the Dutch reporter was interviewing citizens who were defending their rights with a microphone, the police treated him violently. Police officers in uniform pushed the reporter, and an undercover police officer even pushed him to the ground and snatched his microphone and backpack. The reporter got up to retrieve his backpack, but was pushed away by the other party. Undercover police also used a black umbrella to block the camera lens of the photojournalist. The Dutch reporter repeatedly stated his identity and showed his press card issued by the Chinese government, but was forcibly taken to the police station and placed in a police car. The Dutch reporter's phone and camera were taken away by the police, who also prevented him from making phone calls. Several hours later, the Dutch reporter was released, but as he left the police station, several cars followed him and harassed him. News Report 13. The China Meteorological Administration forecasted that from March 4 to 6, there would be a temperature drop of 4 to 6 degrees in eastern China. This temperature drop will cover 25 provinces, including Shaanxi, Hebei, and Beijing, with the possibility of snow. The lowest temperature in Beijing will be only 1 degree. Jiangxi, Hunan, and Guizhou will experience rain with large temperature fluctuations. The temperature in the coastal areas of Fujian and Guangdong will rise, but visibility will be low, and there may be dense fog. In addition, some areas may experience a return of southern winds, with damp walls and humid air.